Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Houston Inside Out. My name is James J. And today we have a treat. My man, Kris Gagne, is with me. What's up, Kris? How are you, man?
I'm doing very well considering the circumstances. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, it is tough right now for everybody. I don't know what you're doing. I know we kind of talked a little bit about before we got on. Your house is super clean.
Yeah.
What other task have you been accomplishing since we've got it? It's been like 5 weeks now.
Yeah, no, we've been going about 5 weeks now. The house is super clean. Getting little projects here and there. I'm planning on hopefully moving next summer.
Yeah.
So doing some little upgrades here and there as well. Last weekend I replaced a good section of my fence. Dug some holes, and my pops came over and put up a new fence. So, there's definitely some more little yard work things here and there that need to be taken care of that I'm going to be doing soon, but definitely things I couldn't do before.
Yeah, so for people to understand, first of all, you and I, we work out together. You are a swim instructor, group fitness. I do group fitness, and we work out together as well. So, the reason why I wanted to have you come on, because I saw your Instagram. We'll get to this. I had no idea about the transformation you have made physically, but it had to start mentally. And I am all about fitness and how it mentally affects everything. I mean, it really does. I mean, it's a mental thing. If you start mental, and then everything else changes. And so you have such an incredible story. I've been trying to track you down now for months since I saw this. I'm like, no way.
Yeah,
there's no way. I'm probably sure a lot of people have no idea. People that don't really, people that have known you for years. I haven't known you that long, but when I saw some of the Instagram posts, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta talk to you. So I want you to get into a little bit about your story and kind of the background, because you have just transformed yourself physically and mentally, because it's all in one. It's one thing. It starts here first, because you can't make that transformation without it being up here first. There's just no possible way. So first of all, just kind of take people back, because let's go back. Let's kind of take it back to maybe like high school. Were you active in high school? Were you in the sports back in high school?
Oh yeah, no, I've always been active. I was a first-degree black belt in Taekwondo when I was younger.
Okay.
I started swimming when I was very young, just because I saw the water would just run and jump in. So my parents got me lessons. So I started swimming at a young age.
Okay.
That was definitely my primary sport growing up.
Swim was your primary sport?
Yes.
Okay.
Once I got into junior high, with my size and everything else, even though I was a swimmer, found out I could hit people and not get in trouble for it. So I started playing football too.
Right.
So I played football. Even through high school, I played football as well. Did some water polo as well too. Unfortunately, got hurt swimming. Blew out my shoulder. Went more of the football route.
Hold on. Let me make sure I clip. You went from swimming in the pool to football.
Did both, actually, for multiple years. Yeah. So, I would train. That's literally all I did in junior high and high school was training. Between football practice and swim practice. My freshman year in high school, 5:15, we were in the water every morning. Get out. It was at first period class at 7:30. Went to fourth period athletics. Football practice from 3 to 6 every day. After school, walked around to the front of the school, because actually my USA club team practiced at that high school.
Right.
And my dad was there with my younger brother for swim practice as well. From 6:30 to 8:30 every evening, I would swim for my USA training. So, 6, 7, 8 hours a day of training when I was younger.
That's crazy.
I was pretty good at it, but I said, I got hurt. Went strictly football every season.
At what point did you turn strictly to football? What grade were you in at that point?
It was probably mid-sophomore year.
Okay.
I tried coming back to swimming and water polo my sophomore year. just wasn't the same. Didn't get the same feeling out of my body with racing. Mentally, I wasn't into it anymore. So swimming definitely took a back seat at that point in time.
Right.
Started really focusing on football. Coaches every year is like, hey, Gagne, can you move over to this spot? And, I would, but that would come at a toll of putting on 20, 30 pounds,
So this is something that, so let's put this in context. So what position were you, I guess, were you to start, and then where were you being moved around to? I'm assuming it had to be lineman. If they're asking you to put on pounds.
Yeah, so
typically,
so my freshman year, or my junior high years, I played a lot of, actually played center. Usually that's one of the smaller offensive lineman positions.
Right.
And then I also played a lot of linebacker as well too. Freshman year in high school, I played a lot of fullback and then a rover linebacker position. After that, that's when I started getting moved into defensive end, defensive tackle.
Right.
Senior year in high school, I ended up going to nose tackle. And my playing weight my senior year was 300. I was usually in between 310 and 320 my senior year in high school.
So the coaches are telling you, like, at this point, so I want people to really understand, because this is going back, we were talking high school, and they're encouraging you to put on weight, because were you naturally a bigger guy, or did you have to work at that point to actually
No, well, I mean, I always had to work. There's a lot of people even in my family that are just naturally gifted.
Yes.
When it comes to sports and athletics and stuff like that.
Right.
Unfortunately for me, my body type, how I am, if I don't work, then I'm not going to get anything out of it. So, I've always busted my butt to, be active and just, do what I have to do to try to be the best and be at the top of the game and just realistically just keep moving.
So, as a swimmer, though, I would think you were lean. You were like super lean. Because how tall are you? Just for people to understand.
I'm about 5'11".
Okay. So were you super lean when you were swimming, or were you?
Not. I mean, I was definitely
some of these swimmers, and I'm like, man, I'm definitely
slimmer than what I was. I was probably about 5-10 pounds away from having a visible six pack. At that point in time, even my freshman year in high school, I was swimming, I think I was right around 205, 210. My body weight, but I was also lifting as well, playing football.
Right.
I was also one of the faster freshmen in the state for swimming. I was on varsity. My swim coach is like, Gagne, lose 10 pounds. And my football coach is like, Gagne, gain 10 pounds. I was like, well, I'm just going to stay where I'm at then. I've always definitely had a bigger frame when it comes to the swimming side of things, for sure.
Okay. So you're being encouraged to gain until you went full-time football, and that was the focus. But you were kind of, it's very interesting to me, the dynamic between a swim body and a football. Like, unless you're maybe, I guess a wide receiver. Maybe that's about the only position I could think that can actually correlate to a swimmer body. I mean, that's really about the only one. Maybe a defensive back, because they're pretty small. But you're in the middle of it. You're a D-line, O-line for the most part. So now, what were you doing? How are you actually putting on the weight?
Man, in high school it was chili cheese rolls, chili fries, all that good stuff. Pizza, pretty much things that you don't want to eat as an adult nowadays. Those are all the good things that you want to eat when you're younger.
Right.
I would see results from eating pizza and stuff like that being younger, and overeating and stuff like that just to try to get on some weight, or eating multiple times a day for it. That's just my body. My younger brother was able to eat an entire pizza, then go swim at varsity districts and win everything. So, definitely a little bit different when it comes even into our family. But definitely in high school is the chili cheese rolls for sure. That definitely helped out the most.
Which is crazy to me. So you're eating this stuff, and this is so interesting to me, Kris, because I remember watching Joe. Oh my God, I'm about to draw a blank on his name. Defensive lineman for the offensive lineman for Joe Thomas for the Cleveland Browns. All-star, all-pro, great offensive lineman for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
So for all the years Cleveland stunk, which actually they still stink, but prior to this group, he was a all-pro.
Yeah.
Even though they weren't winning, he was that good. So he retired, I guess, 3 years ago, maybe longer. And he tells a story about how he used to have to do the same thing.
Yeah.
How he had to eat in order to maintain this weight. And this is NFL. Actually, I think he started back in college with this. And then in NFL, he had to keep doing it. So he would eat, and then he'd eat like cereal, all this stuff right before bed. And it's baffling. It's just so crazy to me. And you're and of course this goes on, and I understand this probably goes on to high schools all over the place.
Oh yeah.
Especially Texas. This is a football state. We understand. So there's a way, but it's just so unhealthy to do it that way. But I don't know what other way you do it.
Honestly, that's about it. I mean, that's just about it. You have to get the unhealthy foods. Instead of getting a single burger, you get a double.
Yeah.
Instead of a regular fry, you get a large fry, and then a milkshake, and you just kind of add on to it.
Oh man, yeah. And then Joe Thomas, if you see him now, if you've seen this guy, like once he retired, he dropped all that stuff. He went keto, and I saw a picture of him. I'm like, who is that?
Yeah, no, it's definitely amazing. I've read multiple stories of offensive and defensive linemen who talk about, really the unhealthy eating habits that they had to endure through their entire career, not only through NFL, but college as well, and even high school for some of them.
Yeah.
And once they retired and they got out of the game, it's, they're eating healthy, they're staying active and stuff like that. Their bodies changes. And a lot of them are, anywhere from 50 to 150 pounds less than what they were, in the best shape of their lives.
Which is really odd to me that you can even in your 20s and 30s, that most of these football players are, that you can eat that way and still be able to move like those guys do. It's amazing to me that they're that big and they can move the way they do. I mean, usually the O-line doesn't get all the credit per se. People are really not paying attention to that unless you're really, really into football. Defensive line probably gets more attention than the offensive line. But anyway, Joe Thomas is a great. So if you guys don't know who that is, go look that up, because it's amazing if you look at him in his football career and what he did within not too long after he retired. He just changed. Yeah. So that transitions me into you, because it's very similar. You've made a huge transition yourself. Yeah. So high school, you're playing football. Did you play all the way through high school?
I sat out a few years just because my knees and stuff like that. I did have some injuries.
Okay.
My senior year, third game into the season, I tore my ACL and MCL. So I had some knee issues my senior year, so that kind of got cut short a little bit. I still stayed out there and supported the team, and I even did some track and field, mostly field, not so much the track side of things. Yeah. Through the discus as well. But yeah, that's where my swimming kind of took over again.
This is senior year. We're talking senior year of high school?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's when I hurt my knee. Once my knee got hurt and I wasn't playing the football as much, that's when my swim coach from the past reached out to me, just because my brothers were still swimming, asking if I'd come help out and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I got back involved with swimming, even after leaving it for a few years.
So senior year, you're swimming. Or were you swimming like actively, like competing?
No, I wasn't swimming at all. Like my coach reached out to me to help coach.
Okay, all right. Let's
be a swim instructor and stuff like that. Yeah,
I got it. Okay, so you started coaching basically senior year in high school.
Yeah,
essentially. And then from there, so after high school, what kind of transition up into the point? And I'm going to bring up your answer because I want people to kind of see. So transition up into the not transition up until the point, but after high school, kind of what happens, because you start to pick up more weight, obviously, at some point between high school and I don't know what point you this transition. So
so after high school, you know, one of my buddies, I don't know, because of his size, I guess he was a door guy over here in the area, just checking IDs and stuff like that. For the most part, I maintained my weight after high school. You know, I kind of fluctuated between 320 and 340 on average.
Okay.
For a few years. But that also came in handy because I actually got into coaching and became pretty serious with the coaching side of things for swimming.
On the swim side, okay, I got you.
And
okay.
But I also became a bouncer and worked in security. So I did that here over in the Willowbrook area. You know, I was at one place for about three and a half years, and then I was over at Whiskey River for about another three and a half years over here on the north side.
Okay.
You know, so I was there for a while. So of course, being a bigger guy, that kind of helps out a little bit, you know, working with some of those people.
Yeah.
You know, so for the most part, I maintained that weight. I finally got out of the industry, which was probably best for my weight. I did lose a few pounds just because I became a warehouse manager. So I was definitely walking a lot more during the day.
Now, were you doing any other exercise, or were you during this part? Were you even working out at that point?
No. At this point, I wasn't working out at all. I was just working. So the warehouse manager, you know, that's doing everything I was doing. It made, you know, for a long day, and then I could coach and stuff like that. You know, but even then, it was still, you know, hey, let's go grab some tacos for lunch, or breakfast tacos, or things like that. And then getting home late, you know, my eating habits then, or fast food and takeout and stuff like that, just you know, over the years definitely take a toll on your body. You know, so it was still, you know, fluctuating in there. You know, I did get into MMA at one point in time, and did lose some weight. You know, I got back under 300 pounds. Was doing pretty well with that and the training and that kind of thing, but hurt my hand. Once my hand got hurt, then kind of backed off of it, never really got back into it. So the weight kind of got back on, and you know, a few years ago, you know, the kid's mother, you know, passed away, and, you know, went through a dark time, you know, mentally. You know, when people talk about hitting rock bottom, you know, I was there, you know, I hid feelings and all that kind of good stuff behind food, alcohol. You know, a large pizza at night, you know, extra large pizza. By myself. You know, a family dinner at, you know, the China Inn place down the street. You know, that was my entire meal.
Now, well, before that happened, Kris. So before your kid's mom, where were you at weight-wise at that point?
I was about the same.
So 340,
you know, 320, 340, you know, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
You know, so I maintained my stature, my heavier, but I was still mobile. I'll still be able to do things, you know, walk and, you know, run if I needed to, and, you know, just get out and do everyday chores. And stuff like that. So that wasn't an issue at all. Even at that size, just because I was still an athlete, I was still mobile, I could still do things. And everything. But like I said, with the food, you know, it really didn't take too much time, just because, you know, the sitting down, the eating late, you know, not sleeping as much.
This is so huge. I mean, and it sucks because it's so much easier to it's way too easy to put on, especially now, you know, because I mean, we're all dealing with this right now. With not being as active as we would normally be. That goes for everybody, but it's so easy to put on, and it's such a challenge to come off. And we're gonna get to this story because there was a shift somewhere for you. So at that point, you was it just you and the kids? So your kids are how old at this point? How old are your kids?
Man, 13. So Aaron had just was getting ready to, I believe, was 8, and Rowan was 6.
Okay.
So they were pretty young. Roman's 10. He's going to be 11 this year. Aaron's going to be 13.
Wow.
Next month.
Wow.
Pray for me, please.
Yeah.
The attitude is real. So, they were young, but, they didn't know any better, as far as my health goes. They just kind of got used to, our activities would be sitting at home watching a movie on the couch, eating fast food, or going to the movie theater, just because that was something I could do with them physically. I couldn't do things. There were definitely family members and stuff like that were definitely worried about me and had made comments and questions and, stuff about my health and everything. And, it's definitely surreal because you tune everybody out mentally. It's like, what, I'm fine. It's whatever. One day, I was sitting at home, and my daughter asked to go do something. She's like, Dad, can we go to the park and do this or something along those lines?
Right.
And, my son Rowan, being a kid, no filter, not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, he turned to her and said, Dad can't do that. He's too fat. And that, man, I tell you what, for some odd reason, I don't know what it was or how, dude, it cut through me like a knife. And, I went upstairs and I shut the door and, I actually had a drink in front of me, whiskey and a splash of Coke. Cause that was my thing, was whiskey or bourbon. And actually had a large pizza. I went upstairs for about 30 minutes, sat on the edge of the bed and, I broke down, I started crying. I was like, how did I get to this point to not even be there for my kids, so that was definitely heart-wrenching. Another person, Gene, who's over in our Cypress area as well, a colleague of ours, a great guy. He pulled me aside after one of our meetings, and this is when I was at my heaviest, and he's said nothing about the company, nothing about anybody else. He's like, I'm worried about you. Like, you need to get your stuff together. I don't know how you feel about cussing on the show.
You go right ahead, man.
Okay, he said I needed to get my shit together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that hit rock bottom, and I started getting into hunting again with my dad. That was something that he and I did when we were younger, and going to the deer lease, I found out that I couldn't keep up with this guy who had a heart attack years ago, and stuff like that. He's running circles around me. I'm having to take breaks and watch him struggle because of, his health issues that he's had in the past. Yeah. And then, finding out that, he got emotional about it, like, to my mom, which he doesn't do. And
about you?
About me. Yeah, he's like, we're losing him. He's dying. And, he was right. I was. I went to the doctor and got checked out, and I was at the point where I was about a year away from needing a liver transplant.
I was gonna ask you about physically, like, how were you doing? What were, obviously you were having trouble keeping up with things, any other health issues that you were actually dealing with during that time, or even going to the doctor during that time?
I wasn't until everything happened with Rowan. He made that comment, talking to Gene, my dad, and stuff like that. Yeah. As far as the health issues go, I was out of breath constantly. Yeah. Even just going, 20 feet from the couch to the fridge was a workout for me at that point in time. Sleeping on the couch because I didn't want to walk up the stairs because it was too tiresome, and my back was, all kinds of messed up, and having issues with it. My knees, my ankles, just my hips. Just everything. Physically, my body was falling apart, my joints and stuff like that.
And this is at what point? Where were we at weight-wise when all this is going on? Where were we at?
I was 540 pounds.
Wow, Kris. Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
So, give people some. So, we're talking how long from the 320-ish to that point? How many years are we talking?
Give or take. 2, maybe 3.
That's amazing. So I want people to, I'm going to keep going. So I want really people to really get, because this is where, and I saw you post that picture of yourself, because I don't know you. I know you as you are now.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people probably do. And if they're not following you on Instagram, they'd have no idea about the transformation. So I'm going to share this. So at, well, let me see. Let me try this again, Kris. Hold on. So 2017.
Yeah. Yep, that's me on deck coaching a joint swim practice with some of my other coaches. That was at my heaviest. I was 540 pounds in that picture. Funny thing is, the swimmer at the bottom corner of it, that's actually Erin, my daughter.
Okay.
And it's really funny because she actually saw this picture and she recognized herself, but then she turned around and asked who that man was. She didn't even recognize me in that picture. Wow. So yeah, that's where I was at 2017. 2018, that middle picture, she was actually graduating 5th grade, getting ready to go to junior high.
Okay.
That's about 100, it's probably about 150 pounds down, almost 200 down.
But let's go back, because I want people to really get this. So in 17, what was it? Was it a combination of your son, Gene? Was it all that? At what point did you say, I've got to get myself together? And then I want to help people understand, like, what changes did you make, other than there was a mental, clearly there had to be a mental change.
So the biggest thing for me was after Rowan made that comment. I went back downstairs and I threw the pizza away. I threw away all the alcohol in the house. And at that point in time, that evening, like, that's when it was, like, I completely changed everything. The next day I had doctor's appointments lined up to go get checked out and get blood work done and to find out where I was physically as far as the internal organs go. And, that's when I found out that my liver was shutting down. My liver wasn't doing anything the way it was supposed to.
Right.
It was about maybe a year, a little bit more out from needing a liver transplant, just because the fatty liver, and then also from the alcohol as well too. Luckily, at the time, my kidneys weren't working all that great, but there was no damage done to them. Obviously my heart's overworking, trying to pump blood through a body that size and stuff like that as well too.
Yeah.
But that evening it was a switch. There's nothing about it. I'm the type of person that kind of once I make up my mind about something, there's really no changing it.
So what did you change? Like, well, obviously the food. What you threw everything out. What else did you do? Because this is hard. Like, Kris, what you did is this. It's amazing. That's why I had to have you talk, because this is one of the things that food is a drug. It's a drug.
Yeah, and people don't understand that. People sit there and look at drug addiction with heroin or cocaine and stuff like that. Food is no different.
I completely agree with you.
There are multiple of eating disorders out there, and including binge eating and overeating and stuff like that. And the same high people get from cocaine, and I mean, there's been scientific research on it too to back it up, that that same endorphin rush that you get from the cocaine or the heroin, you get from a bag of Doritos.
It's the same thing. And they really tie a lot to sugar, right? Because I've never been overweight, but I understand. Like, I've binged on sugar. Like, nobody binges on broccoli.
No.
Nobody's like, oh my God, that broccoli, I've eaten too much. I've never heard anybody say that.
For sure.
But sugar, it's literally, they tie it to the exact same feeling you get from like cocaine, drugs. It's the same, it's the exact same feeling. They actually say, I've heard studies in because I love reading stuff about health and fitness constantly. But I've seen things where they say it's actually even more powerful. Sugar. I'm talking specifically about sugar.
Yeah.
But it's a drug. I mean, it is. It's a drug to poison you, tear your body to pieces, or heal. And clearly, you've switched. So, to the more of the healing. Not that you can't ever have anything that's not so-called healthy, but in this country, we eat so much. We eat out a lot, and when we do go, especially restaurants, I mean, we get too much food. Like we just give us way too much food. So so for you, so we're making a shift at this point. You lined up doctors. What else were you doing at that point with your food?
Well, with my food, I went a complete opposite way of what I was doing. You know, the
like cold turkey, basically.
Yeah, no, for sure. You know, the trips to the Whataburger to get a triple meat, triple cheese, or you know, the ultimate cheeseburger with bacon and a large curly fries and tacos. From Jack in the Box, you know, things like that, you know, were completely gone. You know, it turned into, you know, a lot of chicken, you know, things like that. I went very, very high protein.
Right.
You know, I know a lot of people.
I don't even know if you were just doing it.
Yeah, I was just doing it. You know, I tried to stay away from the breads just because they do fill you up a lot quicker. You know, the pastas and stuff like that, the rices. So yeah, I mean, essentially, you know, what I was doing was the keto diet. You know,
but that's essentially what you were doing.
Yeah, you know, that between that and fasting, you know, I got to a point where, you know, I was just walking down the block and back to the house. You know, I kind of, you know, felt very insecure about going to the gym. And I think that's a big part of it too. And you know, and even to this day, it kills me when people, you know, look down on other people that walk in that maybe might be a little overweight and stuff. And it's like they're taking the first steps. They're in that place,
which is hard. You're right. Yeah.
You know, we should be celebrating that and giving them kudos, not making fun of them for it. You know, because I was in that place. I know how it feels to walk into a gym at 500 pounds where you have Joe Schmo next to you that you could literally, you know, do anything on his abs because he's got an 8-pack, you know, and he's just chiseled and every woman's looking at him, you know, as he walks by and stuff like that. I get that. I've been there.
Right.
You know, so it was just, you know, I went very, very high protein. You know, like I said,
were you, did you have anybody like helping you with this, or you just kind of went and said, this is what I'm going to do? You weren't having this, or you just doing research on your own on things?
Yeah, it was a lot of research on my own.
Okay.
Doctors' advices and stuff like that as well too, with different vitamins and proteins and, you know, where I should start with my exercising and stuff like that. It's weird that I got to where I was and you know, both mentally and physically, especially physically, because my dad was actually Junior Texas, you know, Mr. Texas, all that kind of stuff growing up. You know, he actually was a bodybuilder, you know, so when it comes to training and nutrition and stuff like that, you know, I had someone in the household, you know, in my family that knew all this stuff, you know, that, you know, when, you know, all my lifting and stuff like that when I was younger with football, I did all that with my dad. You know, he taught me everything I knew. And I fell back on that. You know, that's, you know, it took me a while to do it, to actually get back into the lifting of weights, you know, per se. You know, a lot of it was just, you know, at first just walking, you know, on the street, walking on a treadmill, you know, 10 minutes turned to 15, 15 turned to 30, 30 turned to 45. And next thing I know, I was on a treadmill for an hour walking. You know, one of the trainers there had already seen the weight I've lost. You know, at this point in time, you know, just on my own doing everything, I got back down to, I think it was about 320. I was in between 320 and 300 pounds, you know, and we kind of became friends. And he's like, hey, dude, I love your story. I want to use you as motivation.
And this who is this, Kris?
This is Dre.
Okay.
Dre. He's one of the trainers. He was over here at the Champions location. He's over at Cypress now. Good down to earth guy. You know, he pulled me aside and talked me into it, and I started doing some group fitness classes with him. You know, a lot of it was cardio based, body weight movements and stuff like that. just doing what I was doing with him, between I was fasting, I wasn't eating in the morning.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask you about that. So why did you do the fasting thing? What was
from
that
the
something
research
again, just research on your own?
Yeah,
Or-
so from the research I did and talking to some of my, some of the trainers and stuff like that, when you first eat and stuff like that and you work out, your body is going to use what you just ate, those carbs, those sugars, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
If you're doing more of a fasting workout, especially with cardio and stuff like that, you're actually going into more of the fat storage and stuff like that for your fuel to work out.
Okay.
So I've been told, I'm not a scientist, but I know it worked for me. I got down to I went from about 320, 300 down to about 260 relatively quickly, just because of the change in workout. Because at that point in time, I wasn't doing anything other than walking.
So we've changed meal. Did you have a specific window? Because I want people, and I'm asking about the fasting because first of all, I do it still. And I want people to really understand because there's so much talk about fasting and some people say it's great, some people don't, but you obviously it worked. But I'm curious to find out did you have a specific window or you just basically just skipped breakfast?
It was more or less just skipping breakfast because the class was usually at 10 o'clock, so I would get there at 10. Do the class. By the time I got done with that, I go sit in the sauna. I love a good sweat in the sauna, even out of this day.
Oh yeah,
that right now. Definitely miss that right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And by the time I got home, it was already noon. So pretty much I wouldn't eat before noon.
So were you stopping? What time would you stop? Were you stopping at 8, 9, or did you have a specific cutoff time for yourself?
Not really. It would be anywhere from 9 to 10 o'clock, just because of my schedule.
Okay.
By the time I get home from work with coaching and stuff like that, and then being out in Katy, I live over closer to Tomball.
Right.
Picking up the kids on the way home from their grandparents' house and getting them settled in bed. And most nights, by the time I sit down, it's probably 9:30.
Okay. But you would just basically just skipping a meal and breakfast essentially.
Yeah.
And you feel like that helped you tremendously.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, because like I said, it definitely what was fueling me during those workouts and the calories I was burning, it was all from the fat storage, that I had built up and stuff like that, versus the quick stuff. Nowadays, completely different story.
Right.
I have to get something, a Cliff Bar, hell, even an actual meal itself before I lift, just so I have energy to go do it and do the cardio and stuff, just because physically I'm in a completely different state,
absolutely.
And stuff like that than what I was. But yeah, it's, no fast food, stayed away from breads, all that kind of stuff. Definitely no sodas. Yeah. Even to this day, I really don't drink sodas. If I do have like a Gatorade or something like that, they're typically the 0 sugar ones.
Yeah.
Even with energy drinks, I went years without energy drinks. Even now, if I do, I have to have a sugar-free one just because it's too much sugar content. It physically hurts me to drink one that has all the regular sugar in it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And I mean, I've never been, like I said, I try and avoid sugar. If I'm gonna get sugar, it won't be from a drink. It's gonna be from a cupcake or donut. That's just my preference. But I mean, if we're out of sugars in everything, you got to try. I mean, you got to really, really try not to do it. And it's hard because literally they put it in everything. So, I want to, because I still want to walk people through, because you were at you said in this picture here, when that middle, you were down. You said you were down like 320 at that point.
Yeah, I was probably around 320 or so.
Did you have a goal actually when you started this? So you didn't have a specific number. You just knew you just wanted to drop.
Yeah, so initially when I first started doing it and doing the meetings and stuff like that, my biggest concern at that point in time was to get my health back.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much to do anything physically other than, be able to walk down the street with my kids or take them to the park, interact with them and not be out of breath. But also to make sure my organs were working right. at this, point in time, like I said, my dad had a heart attack years ago. So those kind of health issues do run in the family, but, like I said, my liver was shutting down, and thankfully that's one of the organs that can regenerate,
Okay.
and stuff like that. So
Did you learn a lot about, I'm assuming you probably had you learned a lot about physical, about your body and how people's, not people, but specifically your body worked, and through all of this over the 2-3 years where you're dealing with the weight and then dropping the weight.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's the biggest thing even now, is listening to your body, listening to, what is working well for you and what's not, because unfortunately a lot of people, there's so many different trends out there with diets and keto diets and slim fast diets, and it doesn't matter. It's at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you and what's going to work best for your body, because not everybody works well on a keto diet. Not everybody does well on a high protein diet. Some people do really well on a moderate, protein, low carb diet. It's some people do the vegan thing, and vegetarian is, it's really up to your body and what's best for you.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, everything it's not nothing's one size fits all. I mean, there's some basic science, we're all humans, but our bodies are different. But there's some basics to, obviously if you continuously eat more than you burn off. I mean, just simple math. But keto doesn't necessarily work for everybody, and it works for a lot of people. It worked for you, even though again you weren't necessarily looking to do keto, but that's essentially what you were doing. So were you buying food? Were you cooking it yourself? What were you doing?
So everything went in-house. I hunt as well, so there's a lot of venison that's very lean. Right. Wild boar and stuff like that, that I've had processed, that I've eaten over the years. But, kind of stayed away from the red meat a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, I love a good, medium rare steak. To this day, and still have one. I made tacos last night, and they were ground beef tacos, and normally I do ground turkey or ground chicken. So there's definitely a lot of chicken, a lot of ground turkey and stuff like that. But something I've learned, probably in the last year or so, just with my diet alone, is that at some point in time you have to kind of switch things up a little bit, because your body gets used to things.
Good and bad.
For sure.
Because when you're trying to take it out and your body is fiending, like, I mean, honestly, it's and I use sugar because I had an issue with it, and sometimes it's still it's a sugar thing, and you want the more you have, the more your body wants it. So you're right. Your body gets used to the crap, and I think, and you can speak to this better than probably anybody, because I think people, they don't even know, like, they've been eating like crap for so long, and their bodies just they don't even know what it feels like anymore. I guess feel normal, so to speak, but I don't even know what normal, like, people don't even know what normal is in the joints and how their body feels. They think it's age, or like, dude, like, it's the freaking food, man.
Food definitely plays a big part in it. It's
huge.
Even with eating healthy, just because you're eating healthy doesn't mean it's good for you. There's definitely a lot of things out there that they label as healthy that aren't. And then definitely will mess with you. And like I said, not everybody's the same. Some people eat lots of eggs and have no issues with it, and there's some people that eat eggs and they get bloated, and they don't feel good after eating them, even though they're healthy. So you definitely have to find what's best for you and stuff like that, and at the same time you do have to switch things up a little bit. I came into, probably about a year ago, definitely more than a year ago, I started taking spin classes. That's how I met Candace. And started taking her class, and I've taken everybody's classes now. And, it's, I went from, just starting that point in time, being about 290.
Yeah.
I dropped down to about 250 at that point in time, doing just the spin classes. And that's when I really started when I did my first spin class, I was working on the indoor tri at our gym. And I was actually partnered with Candace and helping her get that tri going. One portion of it. And that's when mentally I had another kind of like epiphany on, what I needed to do and what I wanted to do. Something I kind of talked to my brothers about a little bit before that was, because of me getting active and doing everything, I wanted to dig into that athlete portion of my past.
Right.
I am a very competitive person. It doesn't matter if we're playing a game of Scrabble or anything. I'm going to beat you the best I can. I don't care who you are, how old you are.
I love it.
That's just who I am. That's what I'm going to do.
Right.
Both my brothers are still athletes and still, move. So I want to do a sprint tri. A sprint triathlon with my brothers as a relay. A sprint tri is, anywhere from a 300 to a 500 meter swim.
Right.
Typically a 12 to 14 mile bike, sometimes a few more, and then a 5K at the end for running. After doing a few spin classes and working that indoor tri, for some odd reason, I got into my head. I was like, you know what? I think I want to do one by myself.
Yeah.
I think I want to do one by myself. And it's funny that we're kind of doing this because it was actually the beginning of April. I believe it was April 4th or something like that last year. It was the beginning of April last year. Was the No Label triathlon out there in Katy. And I started training for it, got back in the pool and started swimming a few months out. Which I haven't done in years, as an ex-swimmer. Luckily for me, swimming is like riding a bike, you just never forget it. So It was very easily to get back into it. I think when I first started training, my 100 split time was around 3 minutes 100. By the time I got to the triathlon and actually swam, it was under, I want to say it was like around 120, 125.
Now, was this did you say this was a half or?
No, this was just a sprint triathlon.
Oh, a sprint tri. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So, originally it was supposed to be a relay with my brothers.
Right.
Decided to do full force on it, had a lot of support with it, but with family and friends and stuff like that. They all kind of, I think my first step was signing up for it and then kind of being committed to it, being known that I paid that money for it and stuff.
Right.
And, great thing too is, between my family and Candace and stuff like that, it's a wonderful, wonderful support system.
Yes.
Very encouraging and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was able to actually complete that triathlon last April. I got bit by the bug.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. There's definitely a few people that told me, be careful.
Yeah.
Once you do one, you're going to want to do another one, which is true. By the end of the following week, I was already signed up for 2 other triathlons.
Wow.
For last year. I did Sullivan Beach. Also did the Cypress sprint tries, and, it was big for me because the swim and bike, not a problem. I know I'm not going to be the fastest swimmer, but I'm definitely going to be in the top, and I was one of the top 5, top 10 out of the water every time. The bike was definitely mediocre.
Yep.
But I definitely wasn't the worst one out there. But it was the running. I hate running. Running is the devil sport to me. It's nothing I ever liked to do or was able to do. And it was, to me, it was a big accomplishment mentally just to be able to run a 5K without stopping and doing it, I just, next thing I knew, I signed up for the On Alaska 70.3 in September of last year. Did that as a relay. That was actually supposed to be me and my 2 brothers. Unfortunately, my middle brother got hurt. So he wasn't able to do the run portion of it. Joffrey, one of the members at our club that we work out with and takes Candace's class and stuff like that, he's like, you know what? I've never ran a half before. I've been pretty close, but I want to do it because I want to support you in it. So he joined the team. My youngest brother did the 1.2 mile swim. I did the 56 mile bike, and then Joffrey did the 13 mile run. End of September, hot as can be out there. Lots of hills, that kind of stuff. But at the end of that race,
where was that one at, Kris?
I'm sorry?
Where was that one at?
That was in Onalaska, Texas.
Okay.
That's north of Livingston a little bit.
Okay.
For people that don't know. A lot of hills and stuff like that. But at the end of that race, I kind of got in the back of my head, you know what? I think I can do it by myself. And it was one of those, things that definitely a lot of people were like, Kris, you're definitely biting off a little bit more you can chew on this one.
Right.
Which, you know what? It may be, and in the past, I definitely wouldn't have even thought about doing a triathlon, a sprint tri.
Right.
Let alone thinking about doing a 70.3, as a relay, and then now doing a 70.3 individually.
Yeah.
So yeah, that right there, that was the one I was supposed to be doing.
I just screwed that up.
That was supposed to be April 5th.
Right.
Unfortunately, with everything that's kind of going on, it did get canceled. So it was definitely very disappointing. It actually kind of put me in a little bit of a dark headspace, just because, for the past few months, I was going out running 5-6 miles a couple times a week. I was getting on the bike.
Yeah.
I just went with the outdoor cycle club and rode 42 miles. With them when they came out and canceled this. I've been swimming, several days a week, and swimming anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 meters, getting ready for it, and definitely kind of a heartbreak. Putting in that work, man, getting ready for it, and but fortunately, they came up with some different options. Ironman did a great job with trying to figure out what was best for their athletes and making sure that we're all safe, and spectators as well too.
Yeah.
With moving it to Waco in October,
right?
Deferring to next year for 2021. They also rescheduled the Galveston itself for November 22nd. The weekend prior to Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, right? Yeah.
So as of right now, I elected to go ahead and do the Thanksgiving one.
Amazing.
Go ahead and start that back up again, and it's definitely been rough not having a gym to go to get in the pool and swim, but it's been a good time to kind of like what we were talking about earlier, just kind of reflecting on where you're at mentally, physically, things that you need to do. I've definitely been enjoying having a few beers here and there, some margaritas and stuff with some Tex-Mex.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because even right now, that's one thing I definitely learned is definitely not harp on myself with what I'm eating.
Yeah.
You have to have those cheat meals every once in a while. You're gonna go crazy.
I agree.
For sure.
Yeah.
So it's definitely stepping out of that comfort zone. Being okay with eating a slice or two of pizza, or
and not beating yourself.
Having a sandwich on bread and not sit there and worry about having bread.
Yeah, right.
But
I mean, there's a fine line. I mean, everybody throws out the 80-20 rule. I know trainers talk about it all the time. Like personal trainers talk about 80-20. I mean, it's not that you can't, and everybody's different. Like obviously, where you were, probably most people won't ever be at that situation.
Yeah.
So, which for me, looking at what you did, for someone that's trying to make a change physically, I mean, I don't know too many people that have been on that much of an extreme and have flipped like you have. Like, it's freaking amazing, Kris. Like, it's so cool to me to see how you changed yourself physically. And like I said, a lot of people that don't know you prior to, maybe 2 years ago, they see some of these pictures like, oh my God, like, it's just amazing to me. But, you you gotta take care of yourself first. Like, you gotta love yourself enough to be like, yo, I need to make a change. And it doesn't have to be that you're, 400 or 500 pounds. It could be anything. It's just really, what is it going to take? You obviously had a moment where with your son, it was like, oh, I got to make a change. And everybody's got, it may take something different for somebody else. Maybe somebody doesn't have kids, but I just think you got to love on yourself.
Oh yeah, for sure.
People, like when I'm coaching, I'm like, look, you got to love you. You got to deal with you more than everybody else. And so,
well, and it's weird because, you really can't see, but, I'm into tattoos and stuff like that. When I was younger, I got La Vie et l'Amour tattooed across my chest. And it's French and it means life is love. And that's the thing. It's something I kind of fell back onto. With the last couple of years, just life is love. You have to love life. You have to love yourself.
Yes.
But it all starts with you. Like you can't be happy in a relationship if you're not happy with yourself. You can't do anything for anybody else. Because at the end of the day, if you're doing something for somebody else, and it's not for you, you're gonna fail every time. Because you don't have that motivation, you don't have that drive, that desire mentally to endure whatever you need to endure, whether it's 5 pounds or 50 pounds or 100 pounds, it doesn't matter, and it's the same thing with doing anything, physically, if you want to go for a run, don't go for a run because somebody wants you to. Go for a run because you want to. If you want to run 5 miles, go for it. If you want to run a mile, run a mile. And I think that's the big thing, with today and not having the gym. I'm very fortunate that my dad has invested in, Marcy equipment, and he's got a little home gym in his garage and stuff like that. And he allows me to go over there and use it. But that's something I've just got into the last 2.5 weeks, so for the first essentially 4 weeks, I wasn't lifting any weights. Which for me, it's I'm wearing the hat. I was doing alpha training twice a week and lifting on my own and doing cardio. Like I put on the muscle. I've seen my strength go up. I love it. I've seen the physical changes by putting muscle on. So you got to get creative with body movements. And we went to Academy and bought one of those training ropes that that's 30 feet long, and bought a TRX. And have resistant bands and stuff like that. We've
done the same thing.
Doing a lot of body weight movements, things that I definitely was not able to do before. Doing now, burpees and crunches and leg lifts, and even with the TRX, doing the things like that. I do have a trainer, as far as a spin bike goes for training itself, not for the classes that, some of us are used to, but straight training. Been on some runs and stuff like that. But it's been nice to get back outside, and I think a lot of people.
There's so many people outside right now. Like, it's so many people in my neighborhood. Like my neighbors, like, oh, I get to meet my neighbors because everybody's outside.
Oh, dude, for sure. Candace met more of my neighbors the other day walking the dog around, and I've been living here for 4 years. Like you literally know more people in the neighborhood than I do.
It's great.
But and I think that's the blessing that I'm trying to take out of this as well too, and seeing it as a community as well too. Because we're all cooped up inside, and it's like Brahm said, it's. You sit inside all day, you're going to get depression and anxiety and all this other stuff. And honestly, you know what? The best thing for you is to be in the sun. Is to be in the sun and be active. That's what helps your immunity. So get outside. Go do some yard work. Go walk around the block. Go ride a bike and, get the kids out and do it. Do it as a family. Do it by yourself. It doesn't matter. Just get out. Just enjoy the weather.
And right now, fortunately, we've got great weather. For us in Houston, and I try not, and even for me, because I'll stay working and then I'm like, oh, I need to get my butt just to walk outside. So literally, if it's nothing more than walking down the block, walking around the block, just getting out, there's science behind the being outdoors.
Oh yeah.
So this is not an opinion, this is science, and how your body and your mind mentally working out, being outside. You don't have to necessarily go for a run per se. It could be a walk. So,
exactly.
but there's something to it, the feel good endorphins that we all have inside our bodies, and they do get they go into what do you call it? One word I'm looking for. They kind of jump off when you're outdoors. They kick in. They kick in even more than being indoors. So I always tell people,
you feel better, you know, and that's the thing too. It's like the days I don't work out at the end of the night, like my body feels it. Like,
no question.
Feel it.
I'm the same way. I feel like.
The big thing is, and what people have to realize that, you know, working out and getting outside and getting exercise isn't the same for everybody. You know, 20 to 30 minutes of moderate exercise a day, moderate. That's all you have to do. Go outside and walk.
Yeah.
You know, just get outside, get some fresh air, get some sunlight, you know, and you walk a little bit faster than you normally walk, get your heart rate elevated a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, in just that 20 minutes, you're going to feel so much better afterwards.
Yeah,
you might be a little tired, you might be a little sore the next day, but you're gonna feel so much better having that fresh air. That you know, it gives you that energy.
I agree, man. 1000%, man. So you are amazing, dude. Like, I freaking love.
I appreciate that.
I really do, man. I mean it, Kris, because there's so many people that I want people to watch this because again, there's a lot of people that are struggling weight wise, and they might be struggling with other things too, but for you to go from where you were to now, I want to run a 70.3 I want to do a 70.3
Let's do it.
And for you to go cold turkey is just really crazy to me. But you know what, I think that's probably the best way. Again, everybody's different, like we do everything, but if you're on drugs, right, you don't just tell them, you know, hey, here's a little drugs today. You got to just stop this shit.
And you know what? And I've seen it firsthand. You know, there are some people out there that can't do it cold turkey. And that's okay. I think, you know, at the end of the day, no matter what you're talking about, you know, you have to mentally prepare yourself for it.
Yeah, clearly.
You know, if you're not mentally prepared to change, it's never going to happen. If you're being forced to change, it's not going to happen.
Absolutely.
But if you yourself decide, you know what, enough is enough, I'm going to get off this drug, or I'm going to get active and stuff like that, that's all that you need. You know, it's that mental, it's that state of mind. Once you get going, it's like that domino effect.
Yeah.
You know, you want more of it. You start seeing changes, you know, and you might not see the physical changes right away. You know, you might notice that, you know, walking that 20 minutes becomes pretty easy for you.
Yeah.
So you start walking 30 minutes and you're like, you know what, maybe I'll jog to the end of the street, you know, and it's baby steps. But it all starts with you and what you want to do and what you decide you want to do.
Yeah.
So it's definitely 100% mental before anything else. You have to mentally prepare yourself and decide that you want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's starting there, man. It's such it's so powerful, dude. It really is, because I'm all about the mental state, the mental game. I mean, it's everything. Everything is you're talking to yourself.
Yeah.
All day long. You're talking to yourself. And so now, what are you saying to yourself becomes a question. What are you talking to? Because and I say it in class all the time when I'm teaching, like, you're having a conversation with yourself right now.
Oh yeah.
Just be conscious of what you're saying. And you know, you got to take care of you. I think it's selfish when you don't take care of you first.
Yeah. That's
why when you're on the plane, put yours on first, and then it's the same thing. You got to take care of you first. And I love what you said about not being able to, like, love, or you have to love you first. Even in relationships, married. I mean, me and my wife been together for 20 years. So, you know, I got to take care of me first. She needs to take care of herself, and then we come together. And so thank you so much, Kris. I really appreciate you being so open and sharing. This is going to help somebody. It really is. And
you know, that was definitely a difficult part for me. You know, I've always kind of kept to myself with things.
Right.
And, you know, I like working out and putting headphones on and doing it by myself.
Yeah.
doing all that kind of stuff. So, when I was persuaded, to say the least, to post some pics on Instagram and, kind of put some stuff out there. And, I did a 60-day challenge, with our gym, last year. And I shared a little bit, kind of like what I'm doing with you. And, that some lady said that, that helped motivate her. Yeah. And she ended up winning 60-day, for. And knowing that I was able to help and change someone's life for the better, definitely, one, it felt good. I'm not going to lie. It definitely feels good to help somebody out. But then, it's, if I can give inspiration or help with somebody, I definitely want to do it. I know there's been one that's reached out to me a couple different times on Instagram, asking, different advice on different things and stuff like that. And he said out of everybody that he's messaged, which is probably about 40 different people, I was the only one that ever responded to him.
Right.
And that helped him get over his hurdle and help get where he needed to be and stuff like that. So if I can help out any way, shape, or form, for anybody to live a healthier lifestyle and to live longer, I definitely want to help now, for sure.
Well, I hear all the time when people talk about your being your message. You've got a great message. Like I love it, which is why I wanted to come talk to you, because I learned some stuff. And you literally, you inspire me, seriously, you really do. And it doesn't, again, this does not have to be about losing weight. All right. That was what it was for you. This is on a much more mental level of,
oh yeah, for sure,
accomplish something if you really want to do it. But I think food and weight is one that most people can relate to, because most people love to eat.
Oh yeah. And food is good. I still love food. It's still a struggle not to eat that pizza from BJ's all the time.
Oh man.
That deep dish and to overeat and all that kind of stuff.
This is not about completely depriving yourself of anything, but you got to look at where you're at and figure out what it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
Like I said,
more choices.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you again, brother. I appreciate you. So Instagram is a great way. If you're kind of curious, the stuff that you posted is it's so great, Kris. And if somebody wants to reach out to you, I guess they can reach out to you there, send you a DM if they got a question. But thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you for your time.
And I will, once we get out of this shutdown and we get back to some normalcy and you start working your way into that 70.3, we're going to have to come on and do this again.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We can give an update as to how that 70.3 went.
Definitely.
So thank you, Kris. Thank you guys for watching Houston Inside Out. Again, go check Kris out. I'll make sure I put your handle on Instagram at Kris. Is it just Kris dot or Kris?
Yeah, it's Kris.Gagne.
Got it. All right. So that's on Instagram, guys. So follow Kris. Reach out to me if you got a question. And thank you again, Kris. I appreciate you so much, brother. You take care.